Well, looking back there at some of the action in the race so far, right down there in Nice, setting out today and doing a little circuit round before we come in to the finishing area, and there are going to be 7 laps of a circuit. And that is the course for today. You can see those 2 climbs early on. The first climb after 35 kilometres, the Col de Vence, and then one after 61 kilometres, the Col de Gourdon. Those lie in the way for the intrepid riders now heading in down to the finish at Nice. As usual, we've had some action up there. We'll talk to you in just a moment about that action on that climb. 2 climbs before we come down in towards the flat run in towards the finish today. Big crowd waiting to see the riders come into sight. This morning, almost a bit like breaking up from school. A lot of joking going on, but they knew those 2 climbs lay ahead there. It's been one of the toughest Paris-Nice we've had for some years. It's been full of big climbs. Mountain goats may have enjoyed themselves, the sprinters haven't. Let's then look at some of the riders who've survived the course so far. There's Jalabert. We just saw Veronk, who normally goes away on this final stage to try and break things up a little bit, but Jalabert in the green jersey. This is the champion of France Route signing, and here Vunekroff, and we're going to have a chat in a moment, by the way, and here we are to the riders from his team. Less than a minute of it. You can see on your classification going into this final day. Vunekroff survived the stage yesterday, has that lead of 55 seconds over Kazar, and another couple of riders quite close behind. On then to look at the start today within the centre. Traditionally at the last day of the race, you get the riders in the leader's jersey lining up at the start of the race. On that particular occasion, we saw them roll out then on the start, and the telecom jerseys in the pink, having a lot of work to do then to close the race down, make sure that nothing happened. Just taking you through the stage that has happened so far. Sean has the details of the first 2 climbs. I think it was quite a battle. We had, what, 5 men away at the beginning on that first climb of the day? Hello, press the button, that helps. I know it's St Patrick's Day and you're enjoying yourself here. Gorgeous sunshine, by the way, Sean. He hasn't been on the Guinness, ladies and gentlemen, I can assure you of that. He's been going around shaking hands, because if you haven't listened to Eurosport before, I've been talking all the way through. 7 times victor in the Paris-Nice, Sean Kelly.
That's right, David. 5 riders in the front. We had Cuesta, Acevedo, Basso, Kirchen and Milovic. And those riders had a gap. I think the most they had was 150, and at Col de Vence it was Kirchen was first and Milovic was second and Cuesta was third. Of course, there was a battle there for the mountain classement, and then Col de Gourdon, Kirchen, Milovic and Basso. So that means that Milovic goes on to the mountain jersey by 2 points from Kirchen.
Well, the sun is shining, and in the distance there, the Mediterranean, the riders heading into the finishing circuit on the Promenade des Anglais. I think we're going to have to rename it the Promenade des Irlandais, because we've got the fishing net out and we found another Irishman here celebrating St Patrick's Day, but coming to join us just quickly to talk about the race. He in fact has just turned up today to provide the leader on the Combativity Award with his prize. But let me introduce you first of all to the man who won this race in 1981, but is probably better known for the World Championship, the Tour of Italy and the Tour de France, all in the same year. We've worked together in the past. He's well known to you viewers back in Great Britain. Stephen Roche, welcome to the programme.
Nice to be here, Dave.
What were you doing down there this morning, apart from shaking hands with everybody in sight?
Well, Kurt Lyon was sponsored the Paris-Nice again this year, for the first time this year. The same format as they have in Tour de France, so I was actually presenting a prize to a rider, and for yesterday's stage, and this afternoon I go back to the podium again to present Axel Merckx with the overall Combativity Award for Paris-Nice. So working.
That's nice. The family too, Merckx, but he's done quite a decent ride this year, hasn't he, Axel?
Merckx done very well, and it makes me kind of sad when you hear people talking about him, because if Axel hadn't got a father who was called Eddie, we'd be saying Axel's a great rider. Whereas we're always kind of saying, oh, he'll never be as good as his father or whatever. But he stayed in my hotel last night actually in Villeneuve-le-Bègre with Virenque, and I was talking to him for a bit, and I must say he's in great form, and a very, very nice chap to talk to.
Yeah, so you've got a hotel just down the bay, so you haven't got far to come here, have you? So you walk down, ride down, come back
down. But we actually saw it we didn't see it actually on air, but we saw the footage out there before we came on air. So right in the sea, right at Villeneuve-le-Bègre, beside the big marina, big funny looking buildings there, right in the foot of them. So we're ideally situated in the summer, but unfortunately it becomes a bit humid in the winter time when the waves kind of come over us. So but it's a great location, I must say. We're doing very well with it.
a bit better weather than I understand back in Ireland for St Patrick's Day. Viewers back there, I understand it's raining, so sorry about that. We're talking about, just quickly about Axel Merckx and having a famous father. I understand your lad was doing quite well. We saw him in riding in the World Championships last year in Portugal. How's he? What's his programme for this year?
Well, he's doing very well at the moment. He's taken out an Irish licence again this year, and he's actually riding today in Monte Carlo. He actually passed by a few minutes ago on the bike on his way riding to Monte Carlo, and he's riding a criterium down there at 4:30 this evening. And he started his second year junior race there about 2 weeks ago, and he was arriving in the sprint and his chain broke with about 100 yards to go. And he was third in the sprint. He would have been third in the sprint normally, but he's got a lot of good form this year. He's muchly progressed compared to last year. He's developed into a bike rider and a real athlete, you know. And I must say he's doing very well because he has a steady girlfriend for the last 2 years. He's got the bike, and he's also doing very, very well in school. So it's very difficult for kids at that age to be able to mix the three together. Like, you either go to one and something else goes down, whereas when cyclists start talking about girlfriends and everything else, normally cycling does start going down, but in this case Nicholas is doing very well.
Good to hear about your lad then. And just putting the picture, this is the breakaway group of the 5 men that Sean Kelly was talking to you about a moment ago. They're coming through here, and they've got, that's the first passage, and after the 7th one, the bell will ring. Around they go for the final lap. They won't last out there very long indeed. Just finally then, Stephen Roche alongside me here. What's it like to come down this Promenade des Anglais, having ridden the race as you've done, and particularly to be coming in to win the race? What's the atmosphere like on this run-in?
Well, look, I rode this first year when I won Paris-Nice. Was my first major bike race, and I've ridden as the professional cyclist, and I must say I experienced the same kind of experience when I won the Tour de France like 7 years later. So, but it's like a mini Tour de France, like for somebody that's arriving into Nice like today with the roads all closed, like Promenade des Anglais, like it's never closed for nothing really, and it's very important, very famous road. So to have it all closed down for cyclists and to be coming down here maybe at say 60 kilometers an hour at the last lap, it's a tremendous feeling, and of course to be in the leader's jersey is even more important.
Well, the leader is here behind the pink jersey, Telecom. Vinokurov coming in towards the finish, also take the first of the laps, which will take them into finishing 7 laps yet to come. You want to obviously sign up with something to say here, Steve.
Well,
never a man short of words, Steve.
Well, actually, I heard you talking there earlier on about Vinokurov and what different guys had to say about him, you know, and you know, I think I know him fairly well myself because I rode a bike with him there. The last few months I've been riding my bike, and I often ride with him because he lives in Monte Carlo, so he comes around this area, we meet him, we go off and ride together. And he came to my hotel for the New Year's Eve dinner with Kivet F, Vinokurov, there's 2 other Russian guys, and they started drinking vodka about 7 o'clock at their house. They came to the hotel, the champagne was all free that night. Don't have many bottles of champagne they knocked back. They were, of course, passing the vodka on to their friends, so the friends kind of taste the vodka and everything else. Their friends were all climbing under the table or falling under the table about midnight, and they pulled out the big cigars and started smoking the big cigars, and finished off at 4 o'clock when they left to go to a nightclub. And they're still standing as if they were kind of drinking orange juice. But that's not by no means the reason of a success. I think that was his last fling of the year, of the winter time. And since then I've trained a few times with him now since then, and I must say he puts an awful lot of hard work in. And he's always very giddy, very joyful. At the start of a spin as at the end of the spin, he's always just very similar. He's, I must say, a pleasure to ride with.
So we're talking here about Vinokurov in the yellow jersey just behind this lot here. He also strikes me, the last word there from Steve before we get back to Sean, is that he's well liked, but he's always been a quiet rider. We haven't seen much of him being dominant, but he seems to have taken an authority in this race, but still in a quiet sort of way. Well,
for the last couple of years we've been kind of putting down Vinokurov as been the next big rider next to Ulrich or whatever, and when he was with Vincent Lavenue earlier on in his career, he was doing very well, and people thought, well, maybe he shouldn't have left Lavenue because Lavenue is more family kind of a team, whereas going to Telecom is much more strict team. And maybe I think it's a difficulty in adapting into the strictness of the German setup, and he's just coming out of it now a little bit because he's becoming more familiar with everybody. He's speaking better the language and knows more about where he's going. And I must say this year now, like I would never have talked to Vinokurov before because I wouldn't be afraid to approach him, straight face and no smile. And I must say, the last winter now I've had the chance to get to know the guy, and he's totally changed. His whole kind of physique has changed. Like, he's always smiling, he's much more at ease with himself, so maybe he's had a click inside him that's kind of made him much more friendly like.
Thank you. Right then, coming up towards the final lap and the final 5 kilometres of the race, 6.5 kilometres of the race. Oh dear, another boob, I got the distance wrong. You can always write off then to www.addiscom, that's addiscombecc.freeserve.co.uk for all the Duffers mistakes that happened so far in the last 7 days. Do bear with me. It's our first big event back in the saddle. Sean Kelly here. I think, Sean, you've enjoyed every moment of it so far, and I think we're opening the season up with a bang. What do you think?
Yes, well, we've certainly opened up with magnificent racing. The weather, of course, had meant a lot to us this year because the riders have got very good weather, and because of that, I think they have a great morale and they've raced very hard, as I said, and we've seen some fabulous racing. And also the route has been a difficult one, and that's made good racing as well. So, you know, it's been a great race to be doing the commentary on. And
also to enjoy the food, the wine, and the general atmosphere of the first race this season. Nice, relaxed race, this one. So I didn't those who enjoy to know what the menus are and the foods all the way down. They haven't been able to always dwell on it because we had one of those races when it wasn't very often to be able to pick up the menus and take you through what happened the day before. But here we are in Nice, well known for its salad niçoise, and of course, believe it or not, the ravioli was invented here, not in Italy. Right then, who's going to actually be out there with the fizzy pop at the finish? That's the corner. I think we'll rename that one Jalabert's corner. Most of the circuit races in the motor field have a corner named after them, and so Jalabert, I think we'll call it the Jalabert corner now.
Yes, actually you can see there was a little, it looked to be a bit wet on that corner there. Maybe there's, you know, as I said, there's some of the fuel from the cars, or maybe somebody from their bottle some water, but it did look a wet patch on that corner, and that's probably how Jalabert became a cropper.
Well, there we are on the flat. Just quickly, if you didn't see the results yesterday, Frigo won the stage, Cadel Evans, the Mapei team with his second, Sanchez third, and at the climb up there, Vunacroft finished in 11th spot, just lost 42 seconds on the men ahead of him, but it didn't make much difference overall. He kept the yellow jersey, and now with the sprint bonus in between that we had already, Jalabert's moved up there into third spot, Kivelev's dropped down into fourth. The overall at this morning, Vunacroft, Kazar, Kivelev and Jalabert. A slight shuffling of the pack when Jalabert got the second spot in the intermediate sprint, but now still there's just those 59 seconds back to Kivelev. Jalabert wanting to probably get another bonus to make sure that he gets himself up into second spot over Sandy Kazar, but even more so he has to see if he can protect that green jersey, because the battle can come between himself and Pataki. Pataki this morning 79 points in the points competition. Jalabert 81 points, just there between the two riders, a couple of points between them. 25 points for first, 22 for second, 20 for third. This is going to be some heck of a sprint.
Yes, it certainly is, and we can see from the aerial shot here, we can see the Faso Baltoro riders setting the pace in the front, quite a fast pace, but we see Robbie McEwen there, he's fighting for the wheel of Pataki, and there's a teammate actually of Pataki who's trying to push him off the wheel. We see there a number of seconds ago that they're not leaving him have a handy ride in the wheel of Pataki and to get a good lead out.
Other sprinters to watch out to then, Tom Steele from Mapei is in the Mapei colours, can't see him at the moment. Has he got the form? He had a bad year last year with that virus, hasn't quite hit the form. Will he have a go at this one? Also the team from Calmi then, Vicioso, looking quite useful, and you can see one or two of the Calmi riders trying to infiltrate it as well. So those are the sprinters that are left in this race. A lot of other ones have stopped on the way through. Also, don't forget that Tasato, who rides the Fassa Bartolo team, will be doing a lot of the lead-out work. He's another card to play if Pataki can't make it, but I think they'll do all the work they can. Capella for Big Matt having a go too, could be in there. Baden Cook for La Française de Jeu, and most of Van Heijswijk probably also could be having a go then for Domo Farm Freaks. They're starting to wind themselves up now. Position, Sean, everything?
Yes, well, it's very much position here because you know, a very straight run in. The speed will be very, very high on this big open road. So you know, your position is very important, and you get a good lead out. You know, the mistake you can make here is you can go a bit too early because a big open road, it looks closer than it actually is the finishing line, and if you go too early, you know, you can pay for that in the last meters.
Well, here a bit of technical chat between Sean and myself. What we'll do today, Sean, is if you'd like to stand up, because we can't see a darn dancing over our monitors when the sprint in the last sort of 100 yards over the top. I'll try and call it the best I can do, and then you can pick me out the thick and stick it when I've got it wrong. It's going to be one of those sprints, though. All you experts out there, do keep your eyes in. As we can now see the team begin to work out there. Domo Farm Freaks trying to do something to set it up to get Van Heijswijk, who's got 98 on his back. Will he have a go at this one? Will they go for a long way out? You never know then. Perhaps they're going for a long one then. One or two still taking a shortcut then. Close him down. That's Tasato just closing down. The one rider tried to get away up the front then, but it's not going to be then. Tasato being closed down, as I think that was Kashikin from the Domo Farm Freaks team, but Pataki looking back there. If you're looking in there for Pataki, he has got number 76 on his back then.
And Chavanel goes for a
motorbike.
Well, that's what he exactly needs. He goes on the attack, but you know, as I said, to stay away here, you definitely need a motorbike.
And a lot of work being done, very close to that curb side then, with the riders from Fassa Bortolo having to close down that man. They haven't quite made it. He's still having a go. Well, Bonjour, good day. Is it going to be a good day for the Bonjour team?
I would not reckon so. I think you know, it's over. We see the Fassa Bortolo, they're setting a very, very fast pace. You can see the way it's stretching out now. When it gets into one line, that proves that, you know, it's starting to get really fast, and it's very hard to move up. If you move up here, you have to come out from the rider and, you know, into the wind. So if you do that, well, then you're going to pay for that in the sprint. And the only way you can do that is get a teammate to get you up a number of places.
Well, I can see the routes over there right now. Coming up, I think that's Stariccioni there from the Mappe team beginning to work his way through. But Tom Steels is in there too, I think, at the moment. And this is a sort of territory where yet the Mappe are en masse. Taff is also doing his work as he can. But where the heck is Jalabert? Has he decided not to go for it? Looking for the green jersey, he's not there, Sean.
No, I don't.
So it looks like he could lose the green jersey. Do you think he's sort of thinking, well, I don't want to be upended here? Has he lost his nerve?
Yes, he's definitely lost his nerve. He said that on a number of occasions, and I spoke to him a number of days ago. He said that in the descent he's in control and set, but in the sprint he said when everybody's around him, he can't do it anymore.
So it looks like Pataki might be able to go into that green jersey. The man who was second on the Classement was Vunekrov. Vunekrov in the yellow jersey, certainly hovering back about 20th off the front to make sure a split doesn't come, but not going to prize that yellow jersey off him. It's just who's going to get the sprint finish as Pataki he's gone a bit too soon. Where the heck is he?
Yes, Pataki is very much inside the centre here. We can see him, he's about 9 or 10 position, so he's much too far back. We can see Tom Steels is pretty in a good position here.
So the Fassa Bortolo team have blown it completely, and I think Tom Steels is starting to work his way through. And can Tom get this one then? Steels starts it, and Rodder McEwen also having a go. McEwen and Steels got it, and I think McEwen's got it. McEwen from Steels, I think, on the line there, and very close indeed that was. He came up the inside. Watch for that one yet again. Baden Cook too was in there for the La Française de Jeu. Number 162 was in there likewise, but sure, wow, that was close. Did you rate it for McEwen?
Yes, it was, but I reckon McEwen, yes, definitely got it. You know, he was, again, good positioning coming in here, and that's very important. And we see Pataki was really, you know, got really totally boxed in.
And now then, we'll have to do a lot of counting back for that jersey then, because McEwen, no, he only came 51 points coming to this, so getting 25 gave him 76. And so it may be that perhaps Jalabert still will survive this one. We'll have to get quite a run down there, because McEwen came through, looks like he got that one. Not in the competition really for the points overall. Tom Steels had only got 15 points in, as Baden Cook there. So Baden Cook is in third spot. McEwen comes through, takes it ahead of Steels. Cook might have been third. If so, it's been a very good ride as far as he's concerned for a young rider to come to compete at this particular level. And camera's going round again, picking up this delightful bay. We're going to be giving you, by the way, the presentation of the various jerseys, so the judges will have to whip down and have a look at the photo finish. to see where Pataki and Jalabert were before we can get round to the green jersey presentation. So I think, Sean, we'll probably have to listen to Daniel Monjas giving us the information on that about the points thing, because he, like us, will be waiting for the judges, because what's happening here, somebody's arm went up. That's one of the... Let's look at the sprint. Well, there's Pataki. So Pataki did get some points and Jalabert didn't get any, I don't think. Can we see where Jalabert is? We get a top shot again. Pataki certainly would be in the top 20, wouldn't he? With only 2 points separating this morning, I suppose that's it, isn't it? What do you think?
Yes, we can see Simon also there on the sprint from Bonjour.
Well, what a year this man is having. Robin McKeown got himself a stage victory earlier on during this race. He'd been there or thereabouts in the early sprints, but it took him some time. It took him to the stage down to Belleville when he got that one right and got himself a stage victory. He started the season in tremendously good form, taking the jersey, the national championship jersey of Australia. This is probably one of his best seasons that he's had. Next, a man coming also from the BMX background, as did Tom Steele. So they know how to handle the bikes under difficult conditions like that, and all that skill which they learned on the BMX tracks has paid off then here on the Promenade des Anglais. I think that was the Mappy rider wasn't objecting. I think he was saying we cracked it, but he hadn't quite.
Yes, I think he spoke too soon. He was looked to be sure that Steele was going to take it, but McKeown was very strong, and he came over him very strongly.
Now, on the basis that go on, Sean, keep going.
Yes, we see here McKeown actually is being pushed by or being boxed in by Cook, but he's not having any of it. He just he keeps his position quite well, and when he comes out to really go for his sprint, he comes up very quickly on Steels.
So Cook taking third behind
and Simon fourth.
Close first and second. So on that basis, Pataki could well have taken the green jersey, because I think he was probably around about 8th or 9th in there, but that would still give him some points, whereas Jalabert, I don't think it was in the top 20. If he was, he probably drifted out of it. But certainly the overall leader is still Vinokurov in the yellow jersey. Well, there we are. Nice view of the bay and the hills in the background where this race has been fought out quite a bit, but the sprinters, those who've survived the Paris-Nice, have had their moment of, I won't say fun, by God, to sprint at that sort of speed, you've got to have a very good nerve and you've got to have the very good skill too. And just imagine hauling yourself over those mountains. Robbie had a bad chest when I spoke to him. He's coughing and spluttering a couple of days ago. Pataki, a very big man, is getting a bit tired, but he managed to come back by the time we went to Cannes. Again, Tom Steels, they had to ride the Mappé team for Cadel Evans, who was doing a great ride. He's finished in 10th spot overall on general classification. Cook now coming up, another sprinter who had to work for Sandy Kazar early on, and the same thing too with the Lotto team. Although Robbie didn't have a lot of work to do for any of his best placed riders, at least he had to survive the mountain with a bad chest, and so they've survived these specialist sprinters to get here to the finish of this race after 690 miles. That's about 1,100 kilometres of racing on this, the final stage of the Paris-Nice, and they're just getting us a run down there. And Pataki was 7th. Yes, I thought he probably made the top 10, so that's it. He will certainly take the green points jersey, and I think a very worthy one too, because he's a big bloke, isn't he, Sean? To get over those climbs, eh?
Yes, well, he is. He's climbing very well. We see the stage he won into Cannes over the Tagneron. It's a quite difficult climb for a sprinter to get up that. He's in very good form and climbing very well, and definitely would be a candidate for some of the classics.
And he did well in Tour of Valencia too, didn't he?
Yes, of course. He had 3 stage wins in the Tour of Valencia, so he is, he's in form with quite a while. And I think Milan-San Remo, he definitely, will be one of the hot favourites, because an Italian in Italy, like for them, it's the Milan-San Remo is the classic of the year.
I wish you wouldn't been to the Milan San Remo. I know you won it twice. It's very nice of you, but we're not coming on Eurosport. I'm going into dark corner to cry. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. I've been asked by everybody, are you doing the Milan San Remo? Well, for various reasons, we're not. But we'll be back next week for the Semaine Catalan. We've got the whole week of that very special Spanish race, or Catalonian race, as we watch them all whipping down here. So we're back with the Semaine Catalan. And on that weekend, not this one, 2 weeks from now, we're going to do the Critérium International as well. Many of the riders you're seeing here will be in that race too. So we'll be going full bore on that one for you on Eurosport. And then we move into the classics, and we've got them all back to back. We'll be covering the classics, the Tour of Flanders, the Ghent-Wevelgem, the Paris-Nice, the Paris-Roubaix, Flèche-Wallonne, and the Liège-Bastogne-Liège, the Amstel Gold, and they'll be there. Many of the riders you're seeing here will be riding in those classics too, some of them selecting the ones that suit them best of all, and unfortunately I say the Milan San Remo, well, will Pataki get that one to add to his list of successes? We'll have to wait and see, but of course there's one or two big hitters waiting to pounce on him, people like Mr. Cipollini now wetting his whistle and trying to get that race under his belt too. So there's a lot of big racing coming up, most of it just